Well, as you can see, I'm sitting in the sanctuary of Sandy Springs Christian Church, specifically at the communion table, where during normal times we would gather weekly during worship to share in the Lord's Supper. Unfortunately, though, as you know, over the last year, we've not been able to do that in the same way. Communion's been, very different. Sure, these little miracle meals here, they've been a godsend. And sharing with communion in our homes with our families, that's been meaningful too. But there's something missing from the story of our faith by not gathering here regularly as God's people, isn't there? There's something fundamentally lost without this day on the Christian calendar, Maundy Thursday, the day remember Jesus and his disciples sharing in the Last Supper. There's just something essential about inviting one another to the table as a part of living our faith. Or at least that certainly seems to be the case for Jesus. Of all things he could have left for us by which to remember him, he chose a meal shared with his closest followers. And I mention those with whom he shares that meal because it's an important distinction. It wasn't his family or even his closest friends. No, it was his closest followers. Even one whom he knew would betray him. Even those with whom he argued or disagreed throughout his ministry. Even those who will deny him, desert him, fail him. This is who Jesus invites to the Last Supper. This is who we need at our tables again. Or at least I do. Don't you? I don't know, maybe it's a neighbor who was a friend before we started quarantining. But as this time of isolation has worn on, you've begun to question. You've judged their actions. You're certain they've judged yours. As a result, you now no longer even wave as you pass one another in your neighborhood. Or perhaps it's a family member, one with whom you got into an argument at the height of the election. Somehow one thing led to another, and all of a sudden it became personal. Things were said that can't be taken back. Now you aren't sure if you ever want to be at the same table with them again. Or maybe it's a coworker, one with whom you disagreed about how to handle your business when things really got hard during the pandemic. Impossible decisions led to not only differences of opinion, but vehement disagreement. It's worked out okay since you've not had to be in the same room with them since, but now you're going back to the office and you're going to be faced with interacting with them on a day-to-day basis. Who do you need to invite to this table? Who do you need to sit down with in a spirit of reconciliation and find some common ground again? Who do you need to look at in the eyes and say, "I'm sorry," or "I forgive you"? What do you need to lay down on this table and let die in order that you and your relationship can live again? You see, the truth is we need this table now more than ever before. After all, it serves as a reminder of our call to gather around it over and over again so that even when we disagree or argue or fight or hurt one another, we strive to rise above any temporary set of circumstances in order to achieve the eternal hope God has for us and for this world. One of loving our neighbors and ourselves. Of course, you don't have to come to this table specifically, or any literal table for that matter. So long as you come with the spirit of this meal and what it meant for Jesus on that night he gathered with his disciples in that upper room. And for us, each and every time we gather and remember him. So go on then. Write that note. Schedule that Zoom. Make that phone call, grab that cup of coffee, extend the invitation. It may not happen overnight, but keep trying. Resurrection can take time. It doesn't always happen in 3 days. But whatever you do, always remember that whenever you journey with Jesus to the cross, don't forget to invite others to join you at the table along the way. Amen.